Thanks for joining us today. Another episode of Tree Service Marketing Profits Podcast. I'm your host, Wesley Smith with treeservicedigital.com. And we've got a business owner story today where John Lobevero, the owner operator of John's Tree Service and Landscaping in New York, is going to share his story about how he got started, kind of where his business is, and what all helped him get to where he is today. John, thanks for joining and spending some time with us, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. Appreciate you sharing. It always helps everybody else. If you guys are on this podcast or YouTube video and you have any questions, comment below, like and subscribe to our channel. We'll come back and try to answer some of those questions. But John, like, how did you get started, in the tree service business, landscaping business originally?
Well, I was about 13, 14 years old, and I was skipping middle school to basically go and do hedges and mowing neighbors' lawns and everything, and rather would skip school and make some money. And then a neighbor around the corner owned a tree service and knew me for like a summer or two and noticed that I like to work. And he said, "Hey, if you're skipping school, why don't you come with me and work for my tree service?" So I ended up working with him since I was like 14, 15, and 16. And then he introduced me to another outfit that was a little bit bigger than him. And then I ended up working with him at 16, 17, 18 years old. And then it came time to almost graduate, and I didn't have enough lab credits to graduate. So that day, I remember halfway through the senior year, the principal was basically like, "Hey, you don't have, enough lab credits to graduate." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm out of here." And so I went with that tree service that day, ended up climbing two pine trees, and I quit high school. And at that time, I was getting a little bit more work from years and years of being around people, the economy, and or not the economy, but like the whole atmosphere of the neighborhoods through my area, through Broome County, that I was just getting calls and work, and it didn't add up as far as what he was paying me at the time, younger. We're talking, over 16 years ago, but yeah, I just decided to quit with him and open up my own DBA at 19. So
Nice. So you're in school, and that's interesting. A lot of people take a different route or maybe go to college and get into debt and all those types of things, but you're making money at that point, kind of reversing that, making money like, hey, I think school is costing me money. Let me jump out of here and go ahead and go make some more money out of here, right?
Well, I wanted to graduate, but it was what I was into. It's like I just liked, every morning I just tied my boots tight and just went out the door and made stuff happen. And the tree industry, just as far as each job was different, each tree was different, different species, different gear, different stuff. And not only that, but not just the trees, but I fell in love with the equipment, the trailers, the trucks, the bucket trucks, and skid steers, and that's I right away I kind of knew, I just liked the whole entire, you know, realm of the industry, how diverse it was. You can have, tree services that have chippers or don't have chippers and put stuff on, grappler trailers or dump trailers, to full-blown 22-inch chippers, to chip trucks, cranes, and, the sky's the limit when it comes to tree service. And that's why more and more, when you get involved in trees and how big you want to grow your company, equipment is expensive.
No, that's a
So
common thing we hear all the time. So it sounds like it started off as a kind of a part-time work thing, in the neighborhoods and things like that. Somebody saw, hey, this guy works hard. We can see him working in our crew, for the tree service business. So they brought you on, started learning the ropes, learning how to climb trees, probably remove trees, trim trees, all those types of skills that you needed to have. And then the math just wasn't mathing after a while, right? You're like, look, working over here is costing me money because I could be doing my own jobs over here, making more money. And that seems like that transition that's the most comfortable for everybody is, you're working full time and then you start building up a little bit of a side clientele to kind of prove that you can do it. You can branch off and go kind of take off and do your own thing. That's kind of how it was for you. And you went out, started probably with minimal equipment, minimal stuff, but started building it from there, right?
yeah, yeah, I started with a two-door Chevy S10, 19. It was like a 1999 Chevy S10. With I had an old scamper camper trailer, and I cut the whole top off, and I built like 14 side walls on the side of it and just stacked the brush in the back, tie ropes underneath, and we go to the dump spot, we tie the ropes to the tree and just pull forward with the truck and unload the entire 15-foot tall brush pile. I see kind of people do that now, and like, going down the road with a 15-foot stacked trailer of brush. I'm like, oh my God. Hey, at least he's getting it though. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
that's going to
Like,
hit somebody on the highway at some point.
yeah.
Right.
But
Well, take us through when you first branched out, and you were doing your own business. Talk a little bit about, some people are probably in that mode right now. They're trying to step out and start their business, or maybe they just have. They took that leap of faith. It's the beginning of 2026. And how did you go about getting new customers during that first year, 2 years in business?
I would say just consistency is key. Be out there, logos, put logos on your vehicle. Stay consistent with your, company, stay consistent with your logos, as far as your like everything with me, everything is color coordinated, you know what I mean? So that helps as far as name branding your stuff, name branding your company. As far as doing good work, everyone can put down a tree to a certain aspect safely. But other than that, the hardest part's the cleanup. So, how you leave the job site as presentation, as far as raking everything, watching out for the customer's gutters and their belongings, fountains, you know what I mean? And how you treat the customer's property is huge. Um, I think those are the main like key factors of people just starting off. Now, if you're diving deep into marketing and everything, that's basically, lawn signs are huge. You know what I mean? I mean, they're not cheap by any means. And obviously, when you put them out there, you're going to lose them. It's inevitable. People steal them. The town takes them. People don't like them just left on corners for more than 5 days or 2 weeks. And then, but those are the biggest things. Lawn signs, EDDM. What else is there? Facebook and Google. You know what I mean? Those are four main keys to grow your business and stay consistent with that.
Yeah, and I think in the early years, it's a hustle phase, right? You're in the hustle phase. So, dropping off the flyers on people's doors, putting things on mailboxes, maybe putting the signs out, making sure your trucks are wrapped, just as you mentioned. Those are all the core principles that you want to do. And those signs, I think I found a sign provider in my former career buying houses. We put out a lot of signs, right? We would hire people to
Yep.
put signs out in large metro areas around the Atlanta market. And you're right, man. Like certain times of the year, they'll stay out longer. Other times of the year, when the grass is being cut weekly, they get taken down. People steal them or
Yep.
whatever. And you definitely want a burner phone number on those puppies because sometimes you don't know if you really want people finding your phone number on there. But with what we were doing anyway previously, but some of the places have sign ordinances where you can't put them out, so you got to be careful. But yeah, in the early days, it's more hustle instead of spending the money. And then later, when you got the revenue coming in and the cushion, then it's about kind of putting more money behind the marketing and investing in that. So the direct mail is great. EDDM, as you mentioned, every door direct mail, picking the zip code you want to target. The Google, people searching, finding you, social media, and all
Yep.
of those different things. So it's just kind of a stack, right? People are going to find you a little bit here. Some people are going to find you over here. Some people are going to see your trucks, but it all works together with people seeing you and the branding and the memorability of your company. So good work spreads fast. That's kind of your motto, right? If you do a lot of good
Pretty
work, a lot
much.
of referrals.
Yep. Like I said, anyone could take down a tree and, be I'm trying to put this nicely. Anyone with a truck or chainsaw, put that nicely, can take down a tree. It's just as far as, what you do of not leaving a bunch of debris stacked in a customer's yard for 3 days at a time, or you do the cleanup. And then, a lot of times customers are, it looks different when the tree's in the air and compared to when the log is on the ground. Now you got a whole heap and log on the ground. And I've heard customers say, yeah, I hired them. I chose a cheaper way. And, I want to call you back because now they just left, we gave them some money. And now they left the log here for it's been over a week now. The guys stopped answering their phone and, sometimes they're biting off a little bit more than they can chew, and, yeah. So,
Yeah, in this business, leaving those logs behind can be super inconvenient for the neighborhood. We've had a couple in our neighborhood just over the years. I've noticed like they'll drop a bunch of trees and then the logs will sit in the cul-de-sac for 3 or 4 days. And like you said, maybe they bit off more than they could chew, couldn't find a dump site, whatever the case may be, couldn't come pick them up. But yeah, I mean, those types of things sometimes can leave a sour taste in people's mouth if you don't do exactly what you say you're going to do. So that's good stuff there, man. What about you? So, do you have any kind of secrets to hiring? You have several crews now. Are there any secrets for you hiring good people, or do they kind of come referral based as well?
I would basically say, um, I mean that's a tough one. So as far as hiring, I'd like to hire, and then kind of fire. Like I'd want to get people in here with positive attitudes, and as far as the within this type of industry, you know, real quick within the first week, as far as their reliability of showing up on time and their work ethic. The second week is seeing if they can actually, you know, cut for the work, drag and brush, driving chip truck with a trailer attached to it, safety. You know, again, reliability is the biggest thing, and to see if they're a go-getter instead of standing around and just, you know, on the side of the chipper and stuff. There's always something to do. They should be putting a rake in their hand and starting to rake up the ground. Either that, or if that's someone, people are already on it, well, you grab the blower, you start blowing off the road. You move. The biggest thing is to move the chip truck where you just chipped. So when everyone's going to leave, like that's, you know, I tell my guys constantly, but they got a good flow of it the past couple of years. Someone's already hopping in that chip truck and moving it 16 feet forward to basically blow underneath of it, presentation and everything. And you know, it's like clockwork, but there's always something to do. So after a couple of weeks or a month and a half of just, you know, pure laziness and not driven, yeah, I tell a couple of my guys or myself to fire them and just keep hiring new people in, you know, to find people that are working, or just, you know, you can flip the script on them and say, hey, you sit them down and say, hey, look at this is what you're making an hour. I see that, you know, you're doing good performance on this, and this. I'd like to see you step up on these three different occasions. I'm going to do a 2 week, you know, annual report with you. And if I don't see that happening, then this isn't for you, because it comes out of you're wasting your time and our companies or our time, because we told you there's tons of stuff to be doing of making production happen a little bit faster. I'm not saying go, but it's you got to take in safety, traffic, you know, make sure your traffic cones are out and everything. But for them to step it up a little bit and not having to tell them to put their phone down, grab a blower, continue, you know, every single job. It's just, yeah, that's where the shift happens in the company.
Yeah, at some point they got to take the initiative, right? And start kind of
Yeah,
moving along and progressing as an employee. And that makes a lot of sense. So it's fair to say you hire in batches. You hire two or three guys at a time, perhaps, and then kind of just whoever shakes out stays, and
weed
whoever doesn't, you get rid of them, right?
weed them out, and my guys do a pretty good job of weeding them out.
That's good. Any
You know,
special
because
ways that you attract people to your company to come work for you?
honestly, they see us on Facebook and the internet, and basically look at the type of equipment we have. Anymore with the industry of where it's going with the PAL fingers and the BIKs and the Fers, you know, the remote control grapper chainsaws anymore. This isn't tree work, man. This is, you know, people getting a little bit laxy daisy, a little bit comfortable. I mean, the Avants out there with, you know, rotating grappler heads and everything, mini skids, don't have to drag brush 50 feet from the backyard to front yard. I mean, it's just the equipment. But again, it's very expensive. The Avant alone is $100,000. You can find them used and everything, but you know, to get really outfitted as far as a you know, surplus tree company, you know, you're talking a couple $1 million, you know, log trucks and or the, you know, the new pal fingers that are what 120, 122 feet or what have you. They're a million alone. But so what, you know, I think entices people and see us rocking is potentially the past couple, I think what, 2, 3, 4 years. I think within 5 years, but definitely the past 2 to 3 years, as far as taking care of our equipment, making sure it's pressure washed, making sure that we're not leaking anything on the customer's driveway, sidewalks, our presentation when we show up to a job, our job briefing when we get there, and the customer sees that as soon as we get there. We all just take a look at the scope of the work and go through everything as far as hazards, where we're replacing the chip truck, and we kind of make videos on that too. So a lot of people say, it's like, man, I seen you, you know, with another or 2, 3 trucks, you know, like 4 months ago. I drive by now, or I looked at you online and I see, you know, another truck coming through and another chip truck. And, you know, but it comes to a point where you can only, we're not, you know, a growing company is good, but there's got to be like a certain ceiling where you're like, all right, we have enough equipment to justify that's where I could use the word the economy. You know what I mean? Because we go and bid stuff at, 1,800 bucks and they say, oh, we got a price for 900. Or we say we go do it's like this 90-foot pine tree is easily, 6,000. Well, I got a price for like 3,800. Ma'am, I just tell them make sure they have general liability and workers' comp, because I said if this guy can take all this material and all the wood, and I said it's number one, it's going to take them at least 3 to 4 days. We can get it done in probably 5 hours because of the type of equipment we have and mitigated lawn damage. Other than that, the economy it's that gets hard as far as reaching and knowing what your economy around you can afford on the type of payments and or equipment that you have and operate to make sure you can afford it.
Right. Don't get out over your skis on that. And then,
You know,
invest in your equipment wisely. So it sounds like you guys sharing on social, just the awareness of your company, branded trucks, nice looking equipment, that's going to attract certain employees to your company. Because, most people don't want to work for the rusted out truck company. They want to work for the companies that look nice, look professional, do a good job, and get a good reputation online and just in the community. So that sounds like that's been a common thread that we've gotten from most of these interviews is the better equipment you have, the nicer it looks, kind of the more structured and organized your company is, the cleaner it looks. You're just going to attract that better quality employee to your company. So that's
and
awesome. Thanks
and
for sharing that.
customers
And
and
customers.
customers.
Yeah.
You
Hmm. That's true. Very true. They want to know that you're going to be able to take care of them, especially the people that maybe the upper echelon customers, right? Those are going to be more
yes.
kind of sensitive to things like that, I would imagine. So that's good. That's great. All right. So you guys are growing. Do you have any organizational, like, do you have a CRM that you put all your customers into a database like Jobber, Single Ops, or Arbor Gold or anything like that?
So we use single ops.
Okay, great. And would you say that that kind of helps you guys be more efficient with estimating, getting paid, organizing the crews, where people are going to and from, things like that?
Absolutely, hands down. Yeah, because I like to color coordinate my stuff. So each crew is color coordinated in single ops. I like that feature on there. So even if I'm not around, they could literally just look, Monday morning, Tuesday morning. The climbing crew is one color, that crew is that color, that crew is that color. They could just go in there. There's a brief description. There's pictures in from the salesman that's already in there. You can even place where in highlighted areas where the effort can go, where the chip truck can go on the property, and write any crew notes as far as what to be aware of, on the customer's property. So it's pretty detailed.
That's great. Yeah, we always talk about that with our clients too, is that, having a CRM is going to make you smarter in your business. It's going to help you scale it because otherwise you don't really know what's going on unless you've got some sort of thing that everybody can plug into and see the same thing, from the app on the phone, from the computer. Like you're probably using your desktop computer a good bit. Other people are on the app, but you're all seeing the same thing. Otherwise, you got notebooks and pen and paper, and that just doesn't work too well in today's environment.
Yeah.
So that helps keep you organized. You know where, each job's kind of scheduled and keeps you, sending the estimates out digitally, getting paid digitally. It just does a lot of heavy lifting for the tree company. And, for any other industry, if you're watching this and you're in a blue collar industry, anything. I was in the plumbing business with my dad before getting into digital marketing, several years ago. And so back then it was pen and paper, and they did have some CRMs back then, but it was just kind of just getting ramped up. This was several years ago. But nowadays with that, I think you can just be more intelligent on growing the business and knowing what's going on with it. So that's good. Okay. So what all are you guys doing now as far as you've got your crews out in the field, you're kind of running the business, you've got a sales guy doing the estimates because some people are in that growth phase too, where maybe it's time to hire a salesman, right? Maybe the owner's still doing those door to door, running the leads, running the appointments, doing the estimates. When did you kind of figure that it was about time to get like a salesman to kind of go and do those leads?
It's too much to keep up with. I understand that they want to see the face of, your company and everything. But unfortunately, I mean, you go to, McDonald's, do you guys get to see Ronald McDonald? You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to
Yeah.
understand once you get to a certain level and you get, 15 estimates a day and you can't keep up with them because the biggest thing in the turnaround is 24 to 30 hours as far as I'd like to consider going to that estimate because a day or not even a day, but I'd say 2 days later on, 20, 30% of those customers, they're already calling another tree service. That guy's Johnny on the spot. And been in business for a while now that understand after 2, 3 days, they're stale to the point where I call them and say, hey, just seen that you call. They said, nope, we already found someone. Nope, the job's already been done. So you got to watch, on when those do come in and when you're getting that type of volume in, and if you're considerably a small tree service and you're able to stay on top of them, excuse me, then that's great. But as you get bigger, you need more people, and see, a sales position is very, very hard, between compensation, salary, commission based, because I tried a whole different tactics, and they can go out and do, 27,000 and $35,000 worth of estimates in one day and say they landed, their closing ratio was 60%. But then 3 days, 6 days later, some of them already call back and say, yeah, we're going to wait. Or no, we're just, we found another tree service. And, that's why deposits are always good right there on the spot too. And said, yeah, if you just give us a deposit, or we can send you the estimate within the next 3 minutes. And, you can make the deposit online through our software on Single Ops there. But salesmen, as far as, knowing the type of trees. Also, not only that, but you can't just be a regular salesman. I would say that guy has to be out in the field. Minimally, I would say at least 2 months comfortably. A month is just not enough. The guys, as far as being your salesman for your company, they got to know your equipment. They got to know, where the chippers can fit, where if you have a crane can fit, the Avant or the Mini, a tracked machine or a wheeled machine, if a fence can come down, or, like I said, the outrigger span on your machines and everything, because that takes a huge factor as far as, say, one of your crane trucks can fit right in the road or right in the driveway without damaging anything, and they can reach right up over the house and go to the back, or they have to know, because we've been on plenty of jobs where the outriggers didn't even fit, and we tell the salesman, "Man, what were you thinking? This is called for two more guys, not three, but two more. Has to drag the material out because the mini can't fit, and we have to bring the lift out back. You're going to have that guy climb all day long, all three of those oak trees out back." I said, "They're not going to be able to handle the brush." You know what I mean? So there's different. They have to know your equipment first, and obviously knowledgeable in the tree industry, but they have to know your equipment and how long it takes them with a guy climbing versus a guy in the lift. Versus if you do have an effer or a pal finger, um, because of the type of production, how fast it is. So you kind of have to base your sales on production of your crew, your equipment, and you know experience.
Those are
So
great tips. If you guys are watching and you're finding value in this, like and subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment if you got a question. John just shared some good nuggets there. When you say they need a month or two to kind of get ramped up, do you have them kind of like shadow the crew for a month or two to kind of see what they're doing, or does it just take them that long to kind of talk everything through to get good at it?
they're operating that equipment too. They're if they don't feel comfortable going in the lift or anything, but they're watching on how the climber up there is cutting. You know what I mean? A comparison is where he doesn't have to rope everything out, or does have to rope stuff out with the lift or without the lift. With certain equipment, he's in the field working side by side with every crew. The 505 crew, which is the effer. Again, these are electric grappler, the chainsaws, K booms. That's what they call them, K booms. Um, they're working with the K booms. They're working with the lift crew. They're working with the climbing crew. Whatever how your company is set up as far as what type of equipment you have, I want them that if I'm going to put them as sales, I want them to work with every single crew possible, again, to see the difference on time wise, because that helps a lot as far as where your sale is going to be at. And say if it's, a 3,000, you're looking at this tree and you're like, well, yeah, the lift can go here. Well, why wait a minute? The lift is not even needed here. He can back up the 505 if we have the neighbors consent and bring in some track mats without damaging anything. And he could just grab that within an hour and a half, considering as a climber, disassembling that for 4 hours. So this guy told him, sometimes a lot of customers don't like telling the other price of the tree service, which is fine. But if I'm at $3,000 and they're like, well, I got a price for 25, I'm like, all right, so I'm not going to bring my lift here. But what I can do, if I can use that neighbors right there, I can match their price. And I said, ma'am, can I ask you a question? How long do they say it'll take them? About a day, day and a half? No, they said 2 days. Well, if I'm able to use the neighbor's driveway or lawn, I can back my machine up right here. Nothing will touch the back of this grass back here at all. No cleanup, no nothing. And I can crane everything up over your house and I can be done in 4 hours and I can match the price. Boom. So it's just depending on the equipment, um, as far as productivity. So huge for sales, huge.
Yes, I mean, and they're setting the expectations of the job. So you don't want to get off to the wrong foot if they're not telling the truth or telling facts on the sales appointment. So that's a good point there too. Now, if you guys are a little bit slower on appointments, or if the sales guy's got plenty of room in his window for the day to maybe do some more appointments, but you don't have any on the calendar, do you have them do anything different? Knock on doors in the neighborhood, go do different things to drum up some business type stuff?
Yeah, so what I do is I like to at least tell them anything that doesn't come in from our leads that we obviously pay for as far as marketing. If while you're out doing estimates or even expanding estimates, while you're there, they might be there for just a tree in the front, but you poke over on the corner of their house out back and try to expand that job too. And you write that in the notes. I said there's a certain percentages that I like to give my sales reps, as far as if they do come up with anything else. So it's not so. What I'd like to do too is when I'm on a job, when I first go and see, we get description, tree in front yard, and I want something trimmed in the back. I look at that, but I'm not just looking at that. I'm actually there to give them an estimate on something else. Obviously, that's what I'm there for, but I'm looking at the entire property to see what value I can bring to them and to, make it a bigger project. Number two is I tell my salesman, hey, and you guys know that you only have three left. While you're there giving that estimate in that specific neighborhood, don't take a ton of time because obviously estimates are free and kind of put in the estimate and stuff, but you're paying your sales rep, you're paying for fuel. um, Look across the street, look down the road, you knock on the door, leave a flyer, see if anyone's home. Just so if you guys get something that's not that a lead that came in from us, I said you'll get 5% on top of your hourly rate of getting your own lead, by knocking on the door across the street. Go three houses down, go around the corner. Also take, an eagle eye look of that surrounding area to get up potential more business on that one estimate.
Awesome. John's giving a master class on how to get more work on every job. That's good. You know what happened? I had 5 trees or 6 in my backyard taken down. And you already had the estimate, you got the number, you know what it's going to be. And then all of a sudden he's like, come over here and take a look at this tree. And so they started going, he was like knocking on the tree. He's like, this thing's hollow, man. This thing's going to fall probably pretty soon. There you go.
Yeah.
There was another tree to take down. So if you just go out there and look for more stuff, sometimes it'll just magically either appear on the same property, or like you said, if you hit some neighbors' doors or leave door hangers and things like that, it's just more opportunities. And I'm assuming you guys probably put a sign in the front yard on every job type thing too.
So what I'd like to do now is knowing that, I mean, obviously these lawn signs cost a little bit of money. If you're there doing the estimate and they give you the go ahead right then and there, boom. If you're a week out, 2 weeks out and work, you know that you haven't been to that job yet. But as you leave, hey, thank you for the opportunity. We'll be back. Our office staff will email you the estimate, and we'll be by in a week and a half or 2 weeks, whenever you schedule them. Put the lawn sign in front. Then, boom. That way, before you even get there, it's been sitting there for a while. So while your equipment's in the neighborhood, if any other estimates come in, you're prepared. Number two, when you leave that job site, you can pull it. Because how many times do you actually go back to a job that's already done and pull your lawn sign? Almost close to never.
It's almost time. It's probably cost prohibitive to do so, right?
So I figured doing the sale then, put it in there. There is a good 5, 7 days before you even get to that job. And while you're there, if it's still there, perfect time to pull the lawn sign off and put it somewhere else.
That's awesome. All right. Well, we'll be respectful of your time. I know we've already been going for a good while here, but other than referrals and just word of mouth for doing really, really good work in the local community, what would you say is probably your like number one lead source today?
Google, Facebook,
Is it like local service ads, Google Maps, Google Ads, combination of all those?
combination of all.
Yeah, search marketing tends to be the most high buyer intent for sure, because they're looking to do the work. It's, back 25, 30 years ago, it was the yellow pages. So they would get that in the mail. And if they're thumbing through there for tree service companies, they see the double page fold out for the big company and they call. That's a motivated caller, motivated buyer. Same thing with Google search. They're looking to get the work done. And there's some other platforms nowadays that are becoming relevant. some of the AI platforms, some, Being Yahoo, some of the demographics still use those. So that's good. That's what we see generally too. And then also with social media, like you said, with Facebook, I mean, the notoriety of your company, and just like the visibility, that's free, man. You can post on there all day, every day if you want, and people are going to see it. So you guys
Yeah.
doing a lot of that posting and just kind of showing off your work on social?
Yeah. But with Google, it does come a huge factor as far as being congruent with your website. Huge.
Yeah, it all works together. It's all about
Yeah.
how many times they see you. And what do they say? I think the statistic is somebody nowadays has to see you or speak with you or whatever the term is, 10 to 12 times, 15 times before they buy. And that may even be before they even schedule the appointment or the estimate to begin with. So just having all these lines in the water, it's kind of like a fishing boat out there. If you have 10 fishing poles in the water, you're going to just catch more fish. There's just no way around it. Whether if you only have one or two in the water, you can only catch one or two at a time. So just having all these things moving and going at the same time is what's going to help you kind of grow your business and get people to remember to give you a call. Well, this has been great, John. I appreciate your time, man. So you got the three crews. What's kind of in the works for this year? Any big plans for this year? Any more equipment coming or anything like that?
No, we're good on equipment. No.
Stay where you're at.
Every
Stay
year,
growing.
yeah, every year I'm like always buying. We're at a good place, but I want to try to implement the fourth crew. So we always have four crews because with the excavation, but as far as the tree crews is three. I'd like to see, five crews. That'd be implementing not as much income with that fourth crew, but at least put them out there to generate, you know what I mean, some income. But it'll hit it a little bit harder with the excavation, so that'll be five, total crews. That's my goal for 2026.
That's awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll end with this. If you have, say, guys out there, gals out there, they're starting their tree service business, they're just kind of getting going, right? They're just try to remember yourself all those years ago when you're just getting going, you're in the hustle phase, the ramp up phase. What would you think the mindset needs to be, or what do they need to focus on? And you mentioned a lot of this stuff already in the early part of the podcast interview here, but what would you say they need to focus on in those early days to make sure they get through that period, that growth phase to get to where they want to go?
Just stay consistent. Just keep on doing what you're doing. I know some days seem really rough as far as breaking down equipment, denting, scratching, brand new things or used things. It's going to happen. Unfortunately, it's a tree service. We're rough and rugged on some stuff sometimes, but stay consistent and true just to the marketing, your equipment, and maintenance as well. Maintenance is key. If you have downtime for half a day on Friday, go ahead and maintenance things, grease things, because that in the future is going to help the next week and the following week. Um, yeah, it's just consistency overall. Stay consistent on your advertising, your marketing, your work as well, and your word to customers, and you'll gain more customers in the future.
That's great, man. Well, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for sharing. If you guys are getting value out of this, please like and subscribe to the channel. We got plenty more interviews coming up. And hey, if you're in New York and you need tree service and landscaping, John's Tree Service and Landscaping. And we'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks so much for watching.